I don't know how to start this, but one thing I will have to say, I'm going to have to make it simple. This is to the content creators. As you can see behind me, there's no what logo I represent, what league I represent. It's nothing. It's for the content creators out there, every single one of you. The people who cover this industry, who put days and nights 24/7 grinding on your product to present yourself to be something that you deemed to be perfect. There are a lot of individuals in this industry, like myself, who go through the grind every single week to bring you guys great content, from players to coaches to ownerships to commissioners to league, team players, events, cheerleaders, everything. And it gets hectic at times. And there are also content creators out there that get information and they go with it. And there's also people out there right now that are lost. They have no answers. They don't know what happened. They don't know what's going on. Those are the individuals that all that work, the grinding, the late nights, the editing, almost seems like it's nothing. One thing I know about this industry over the last 9, 10 months, more and more content creators have come forward to cover the sport that we do. And it's amazing. New aspects, new ways to present products, new ways to present players and coaches to get their brand to the masses. That takes dedication, that takes hard work, and also takes that ability to get away from camera shy, or you're just doing a regular podcast, just talking to players without a video presentation. For you content creators out there, you probably know who I am. You probably know what I do. You probably see my show multiple times. I have been in this industry for 3.5, almost 4 years, covering the game. I've been a fan of this industry for 20 plus years. I know so many players. I know history of teams that don't even exist anymore. But I am a fan first. Also in a content creator as well, like yourself. As I dig deep into this opening monologue, one thing I do have to say to the content creators out there, no matter what happens, no matter what's going on, no matter the noise, no matter the situation or what's happening, you keep pushing forward. You break down that wall that you thought was impossible to knock down. People will mock you, people will point at you, and people will mention you on other shows. But remember, you're in this for a reason. You're in this for a purpose. You're in this to present something with some way, shape, or form, from video to audio to even slideshows, to project what you love. And that's this game. Over the last couple of days, last 72 hours, last week, last couple of weeks, this industry has started to show signs in which I have feared it will return for months. But one thing I do know is that content creators like myself and many others, his job is one thing: to project the players. There are individuals and there's players of a lot of teams around the league, no matter what league you're associated with, that will need your help at one point. Maybe this week, maybe next week, maybe never. But always keep those communications open with those players. One thing I've learned in this industry over the last 3.5 years is that information is not freely given to people. It is earned with respect, relationships, and also trustworthiness. Information in this industry flies like wildfires. If the wrong piece of news hits the wire and starts spreading like a wildfire, we will see destruction like never before. And who gets to point the blame? It's not the people who gave you the information, it's the person who's presented it in any shape, way, or form. I'm not telling you as a content creator to protect yourself. I'm telling you, keep doing what you're doing. But remember, certain things seem too good to be true, or certain things seem too obvious to not be real. There are things in this industry that you will learn over the time. You will know who is using you. You will know who will be using you to propel themselves somewhere else. You will know exactly who are the real people who have been in this industry, and you will know who the people are that try and cause chaos. I've had the opportunity to do this podcast for 3.5 years, almost going on 4 years, and I've enjoyed every moment of it, even with my former colleague, Zach Kyleman. I enjoy it because I love this sport. I love the players. I love what this game represents and the community that this sport brings together. I have met some great people in this industry, the people who I'm associated with inside the Walls Network, like Ralph Junkins from San Antonio, to AJ, to Taylor in Green Bay, and many few. Of course, my co-host here in Jacksonville, Bob Book, and Matt Patton in Omaha. And of course, good friends, the GOAT himself, Ducon Williams, and many others who are associated with Inside the Walls Network. One thing that I know the people who are associated with Inside the Walls Network is that we have a way to project of what we want to do. We don't break news because we know what can be a result of it. Breaking news is either good for the industry or bad for an industry, but most importantly, it can ruin you and destroy what you've built. I'm reaching out to a lot of content creators via this stream, and hopefully it gets shared throughout the day, because this is a time for content creators to wake up, look more, dig deeper, remember why you're here. Because one thing that I've noticed over the last couple of months is that content creators throughout this industry are being used to push narratives, news, false narratives to cause chaos. But actually, at sometimes these content creators are doing what they think is best. They're trying to represent what they love. They get information out to the masses for certain things. It could be positive, it could be negative, it can also be really nothing. But one thing is for certain: being a content creator means you have love, you have passion, you have energy, you have something that you're striving for to make it what you want, to make it perfect, to make something that you're proud of at the end of the day. Go, hey, I got 60 likes. Hey, I got 70 views. Wow, we got 1,000 views. It's something that strives you. But the content creators out there, and to the people I've mentioned, there are certain things in this industry that you have to understand. Information is not given freely, and leagues, teams, owners, and other individuals will give you information so they can position themselves in a better place, because they have no product to ruin but your own. And I know I get the label of being arrogant, being cocky, being a person that's spreading false rumors and false news. I get those hates all the time. But I'm here for a real reason. I'm here for the players. I do it for the players. I do it for my organization here in Jacksonville. I help Matt with his show with Omaha. And I do many other things, especially for Willing. But remember, to the content creators out there, check your sources, double check, don't give up, whatever you do. This is not a cry to help you. This is not a cry to tell you to back down what you do. You worked your behinds off for a year and a half. And it seems like everything in front of you, all the contacts that you made, all the information that you had, was for nothing. Don't give up. Keep doing what you're doing. If it's in this sport, if it's in another sport, if it's for the National Arena League, do it. Do it because you love what you do. But at the same time, I'm here for you, the content creators. Keep pushing forward no matter what. And remember to always check your six because there's always someone trying to use you to get somewhere that A, that you can't follow, and B, to get somewhere so they can cause some issues. Coming up next is episode 143 of Inside the Walls podcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Inside the Walls podcast. I am your host, Jim Rier. Alongside me, well, Matt Pat's not here, but he'll be here pretty soon. None other than color commentator of the Idaho Horsemen, Ryan Riggs. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir, for having me.
I see that your studio is a vehicle, so you're mobile, so that's a positive. You're not snowed in. Is it still snowing in Idaho right now?
No, but like we mentioned in our right before we both started talking to each other before this episode, the weather can change like that. So it looks like it's going to rain right now, which means it's probably going to be really sunny and then snow while it's sunny. But no, we're good right now. Just cloudy and maybe some rain later.
Well, thank you for coming on today's show. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the people who are watching all over the National Arean League. This is first of two guests on today's episode. Matt will join when he gets a chance to. So, Ryan, you look at Idaho, a little stumbling on a couple of games, a lot of road trips out east, but you guys get a good win this previous weekend against Oklahoma. What did you see in your team over the last couple of weeks, and what do you see them trying to, kind of fix? Is there, what do you see as a color commentary watching these like as you say, dudes, dogs, he's a boss, he's a dude. Pat McAfee light, as I mentioned on previous episode, that pretty much gave you a lot of props on your in Idaho. But what do you see what Idaho is right now, and where do you see them projecting over the next couple of weeks?
I'm going to tell you, go ahead and pump the brakes on my horsemen right there. And here's why. The very first game, everybody was healthy. Everybody was good. And we were really, really close to winning that game against Carolina. We showed the NAL, as well as our own team and our fans, that, hey, we could play with these dogs. We could play in the League of Legends. Like, we can do this. We're going to lose some, which is fine, but we could play with these guys. The games after that, 2 games after that, injuries, jobs, you name it. We didn't have a lot of primaries, specifically our running back and our quarterback. He wasn't there. So we had to make some calls, short notices. I believe this last game, our quarterback only had 3 days to prepare. Oates had 3 days to prepare. He's worked at the Horsemen before, but still not a whole lot of time to kind of get that chemistry. And if anything, you still got a little bit of rust because he hasn't been practicing with us. So I'm gonna ask the NAL as well as everybody else. Pump the brakes. I'm glad we're putting you guys into a false sense of security right now. We're 1-3. That's okay. I'm cool with that. But a lot's been happening, man. Jobs, injuries, life. So that's kind of what's been happening this last time. The game we just had against Oklahoma, a little bit closer. That's another one to pay attention to. Our dudes were healthy. Our kicker was actually kicking again. It was nice to see that. So it looks like that injuries in life is starting to pan out again. So I'm seeing that we had a little bit of a hiccup. That's not to say that we're failing in any part. It's just things happen, especially when it comes to an aggressive, high-speed, low-drag sport that is arena football. So I think we're doing good, but, I mean, life happens, things happen. I'm hoping we bounce back, especially we're playing the rest of the schedule. The Bandits are going to be tough, but we got 2 or 3 games after that, which is going to be towards the lower end of the standings. So we should be able to kind of get it up and ready for playoffs.
Welcome to the show, Matt. Everything good on your end?
Yeah, thank you. Had some stuff going on tonight with the family, so just had to be a little bit late. But thanks for letting me come on and still be a part of this thing. So
Well, I mentioned earlier in the episode, just a few minutes ago, that on a previous edition of Inside the Walls, I mentioned that Ryan was the Pat McAfee light. Because the reason why we said that is because me and Matt are huge WWE fans. So Pat McAfee is on WWE Raw, and when he's covering wrestling matches, he always says, "Oh, that dude's a dog. That dude's it's all the and we then went to watch like a party. Like, of course, we're in two different locations. We were watching the same game, and we were both saying like, it sounds like Pat McAfee. It's like, okay. I was like, well, his aneurysms are Pat McAfee light. So has anyone in Idaho heard me say that or mention that? It's like someone mentioned you as Pat McAfee, and as you as a kicker, like Pat McAfee's like the pendulum of kickers right now. You want to be the head man on ESPN. So what's going on? Does people in Idaho know about you as the Pat McAfee light?
Yeah, so I unfortunately failed initially to go ahead and see said special. You gave me the honor of even being mentioned anywhere close to the man that is the punter, Pat McAfee. And everybody just said, "Hey Pat, how's it going, Pat?" I'm like, "Dude, it's Ryan. What are you talking about?" So I didn't get it initially. Some dude comes up to me, "Hey man, hey, they called you Pat McAfee on the podcast." Like, what? So I looked it up. I switched it. I'm just, dude, I'm like sharing everything. I'm telling Dad, dude, I've made it. I'm big now. I'm cool. So, no, that was awesome. I loved it. But yeah, I mean, we got some dogs on this team. I mentioned we got some injuries on the team. Yeah, when I say injuries, I don't mean our guys are injured and have to go to the hospital. No. Half of them go to the vet in order to get checked out, and the other ones have to go to the mechanic because we're being out of machines and animals, man. Like we don't even hire people out here in the Horsemen, dude. We just don't have people. It's not a thing.
Dude, my favorite thing about National Arean League when I'm not at a beef game is when is Idaho playing at home so I can hear Ryan call the game, and then I tune in on Saturday and Ryan's not on the broadcast.
Dude,
I'm like,
so
what
sorry.
is going on, man? And so, no offense to the guys that did it, they were great. Your partner, what's your partner's name? The younger guy?
Fletcher.
Yeah, Fletcher, great dude, does a great job with what he does. He's a young guy. You can tell that he's kind of fresh in the business, but very good at what he does for his age and everything like that. But
yeah,
man, like I tuned in to see Ryan and to see like the dogs and hear about these guys. And so where do you get the energy? Is it just your livelihood as being a kicker and like you kind of, as a kicker, I played a little JUCO ball. Kickers were unique. Kickers had to have a little bit of something extra. Is that where that comes from, or is it just natural for you to be like that?
It's kind of a mixture of everything. I mean, I'm undiagnosed with ADHD, so I don't know where they get that from, but it really happened when I was playing for Boise State in the Boise Burn. Not to age myself, but the Boise Burn when I was with their team, and I remember the coach. I can't remember his name or whatever, but he comes to me and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to be straight with you. You're an average kicker. I mean, we could put you in. We're confident you'll be all right, but you're average. You're not the greatest. You're not the worst. You're average. So you need to do something in order to go ahead and make it to the next level." And I was like, "Well, coach, I'm training my tail off. Like, what do you want me to do?" And he's like, "No, you misinterpret me. I know you're training, but you got to bring that pizzazz. You got to bring that energy that you have. Because as a kicker, we line up, got to calm ourselves, yoga, look, go. And I can't do that. Like, I'll look where I need to go, and as soon as I look up at the goalpost, I'm like, what am I doing again? I forgot." So he told me, he's like, "All right, you have to think about you have to get scouts to notice you." So he kind of helped me kind of come out of my circle a bit, my comfort zone, knowing that I was average, surrounded by all these great athletes at Boise State that went and did their thing, and as well as a Boise Burn. But that's kind of where it started, and I've done that throughout my career, outside of football, what have you. But that's kind of where it really kind of kicked off. I'm unfortunately more of an average kind of football player, but I'm going to get noticed. And if anything, the Horsemen like me, if not because I am average and fairly dependable because I'm on the reserve right now. I'm a nice guy. Like, they haven't told me, "Hey man, you're dismissed," even though they probably want to say I'm dismissed or will be dismissed in here. I think it's just like, man, he's just too nice of a guy. Like, we just don't have the heart, and I appreciate it. But at the same time, I too am a big dumb animal. You got to be straight with the gorilla. If you got to tell the gorilla it's time, you got to tell him.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, Boise burned 2006 to 2009 in the AF2. I'm a fan because
2007.
their color, dude. I'm a fan because their colors are orange, black, and silver. So I mean, I'm a fan, but
Yeah.
I digress. So how
Not
badly? How
because
badly
not
did you?
everything's Omaha there, Matt.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. Our
Second
fearless
place.
commissioner, our commissioner Todd Walkenhorst would not be happy right now if he was listening. But anyways, so let me ask you this, Ryan. I'm sure
Sure.
you've heard about the slaughterhouse. I'm sure you've heard about the atmosphere in Omaha. How
Yeah.
bad do you want to get here for a game?
Bad. like when I was initially told, it's like, hey man, you didn't make it, you're on reserves for the Horsemen or whatever. The very next question was like, okay, can you reach out to all the visiting teams and see if I can commentate with that? Because I want to go everywhere. Like, I want to travel. I want to meet these guys. I want to see what they have to bring. I want to see how I can better myself as an announcer. Because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Sorry, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm just talking. As you can see, I'm just talking. So, if I could just meet these guys and see what the environment's like or whatever, that'd be fantastic. Because everybody has their own little realm, their own little atmosphere. Obviously, I know Boise State Broncos very well. CWI Coyotes are doing really good. I mean, I understand how Idaho does. Idaho does very well. But I mean, yeah, Omaha, the slaughterhouse in Omaha, you got the snake pit out in Carolina. I mean, dude, I want to go to these places. They sound nasty. They sound dangerous. I want to go.
Yeah,
You are a kicker. Kickers are like the most hyped dudes on the team, and they're
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
as a former defensive lineman at my high school, our kicker was just like you, full of energy. I'm like, dude, you just kick. Like, you're not playing the A technique every single down. Like, we
That's
can't
why we
get
have all
hyped
this energy.
because we get concussions while you guys just jump around like crazy. And
we used to go home from games and collapse on the couch and sleep for 12 hours.
But here's the good thing: as an offensive lineman, as a defensive lineman, when the game's down the line, it's not my holding that caused the game; it's the guy who missed the game when he kicked. So it's always the kicker's fault. So the lineman gets
no. That's not a thing. It's the
lineman-
holder's fault. No. No. One of my things at Boise State back in the day was like, going kind of back to what you're saying. You know, there's just huge animals, just gorillas of people. It's like we just break the huddle, and I'm 6 foot, 220 at the time. I'm just like, all right, break, and they just kind of like lean up, or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay. But I'll never forget it. I had an interview with the local news player, and it was like, so what do you do? How do you prepare for every game? Like, what do you tell your players? I was like, oh, that's easy. Feed the linemen, because when it comes down to it, yes, if I miss a kick, the kicker's at fault, regardless of if it's a bad hold of the line or anything like that. Regardless, it's the kicker's fault. But if I feed them linemen, if I show them respect and let them know, hey, you guys are the guys, like, you guys protect me and I love you guys, I'll do anything for you, I know I'm safe. You know what I mean? Show respect, get respect.
So were you part of Boise State on the rise of the Broncos?
I was a backup for Kyle Brotzman when we went to the Fiesta Bowl and everything like that. So
was that the hook and ladder game?
Yeah.
That was an awesome bowl game. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
So
was that the one when the running back proposed to his girlfriend after the game?
Ian Johnson. Yeah, and they're still together. I believe they have a kid. They're doing great.
Awesome.
So that was it. That was the years I was there. 2005 to 6, tore my ACL. Came back in 2008 for the arena, tore my ACL. Went back to 2010 for football, Boise State, tore my ACL. So yeah, I'm doing great. Great.
Man. Dang.
6 knee surgeries, baby.
I think God's telling you no.
Yeah. Oh no, I know. I'm well aware. So is my wife.
What's wrong? Is your hearing bad or something?
No, I'm just dumb.
He's a football player.
I hear everything. It's just like, no, you get it. It's like, hey, you're gonna retire, right? Yep. 37. I'm done. The horsemen are like, hey man, you want to practice? Yeah, let's go. How are your knees? We don't say the K word around here, man. We're good. Let's go.
You're definitely a kicker. See, coming up next, we have the Swiss Army knife, who plays almost every position in the arena game coming up. And I guarantee he doesn't have the same energy as you, because our next guest has many positions he plays. So
he's actually working. Yeah.
And he actually kicks too. He kicked a pretty couple of games earlier this year. Ryan, again, the season's not over yet. You guys are still in the mix for the 4 seed in the NAL. What do you think the Horsemen need to do to get to that final spot for the postseason?
Kick. No, our kicker's doing better. Arnie's doing better. Like I said, injuries in life, so our starters haven't been there as of recent. But yeah, we're 1-3. I believe we have 3 games left. One's going to be against the Bandits. That's going to hurt. That's going to be a good challenge. And the other 2 are what? Oklahoma and Colorado. I'm not saying sleep on them, but like I said, their standings are a little bit lower. So I got the points and the averages and everything at the office. Sorry, I just didn't have time. There's no excuses. We should beat them, assuming we're healthy and everything fun like that. Schaefer stays healthy, but honestly, just don't get in our heads. We have a losing record. The Horsemen have, I don't think, ever had a losing record. So just can't get in our heads, because the only people who could beat us is maybe Omaha, maybe, and ourselves. I'm not going to admit that, Omaha, and ourselves. We don't want to beat ourselves up, So the biggest thing is just kind of staying focused and staying healthy is what we need to do. I think we can make it. I think we will make. In fact, I'm going to say it. We are going to make it. We just got to stay healthy and stay smart.
Well, Ryan, is there any social media that fans can follow you, or when's your next time you're actually going to be on the call, so me and Matt can have some enjoyment when we're watching you guys play a home game?
Please say Sunday.
You're going to kill me. I work Sunday through Wednesdays. Yeah, so I was excited because I alternate every other Saturday. Last Saturday I was on. This Saturday I'm off. So I was excited. I'm like, yeah, I get to go play with the boys. This is going to be awesome. And then I looked at the schedule. I'm like, curse word here. So no, I will be working. It's too late for me to get a shift trade. I work at a firm where we need an X amount of bodies. We can't just be shorthanded. So unfortunately not Sunday. Sorry. And then next Saturday I'm working, so I got to double check the schedule. So I'll try to work on the next Saturday, but this Sunday unfortunately is a no-go.
Yeah. So it looks like you guys are off next Saturday, and then you have your after that. I think your next home game is the 25th, potentially against Sioux City.
Okay.
So
25th.
Yeah.
So what? So that's 4 weeks out.
Weekend.
4 weeks out.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
3.
that's about 3. Yeah.
So if I'm off now, off on. It's not looking good, guys.
It sounds like you need to call in sick.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of my coworkers that go to the game, and unfortunately, those that don't watch the Horsemen games when they're not busy. So if I end up showing up in my my lieutenant, my chief, my captain, my sheriff, God, they end up finding out that I'm not doing that.
Well, Ryan, I want to say thank you for joining the show. Enjoy the weather in Idaho, and if you can't cover the game, at least support the team and show up time and time again. Thank you for joining the show and talk about the Idaho Horsemen. This is the first time, maybe a little centric for Idaho, but it's day and night. NAL got to put some positive feelings into the industry, so why not cover 2 teams with one episode? Ryan, I really appreciate it. You will still be Pat McAfee light until someone else takes that title, and I will tell you when someone else takes that title.
Yeah, excellent, because I'm going to stab that kid, because I like the throne that I'm sitting on right now. That's a goner. No, I appreciate everything you do. I appreciate you letting me on. Sorry I've been so busy, with life and everything. I'll get to the next game, and if Omaha needs anything, let me know, man. I'm here to help out the league. I'm here to help out the players. So Horseman number 1, but I mean NAL number 2. Let's go. Let's get this brand going.
That's right.
Appreciate it, Ryan. So go spend time with your family. Enjoy the weather. Hopefully it doesn't change in the next 5 minutes, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, you too, Jacksonville. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yep.
Well, Matt, that was our first guest, and I know you have something. You can say something in common with our next guest, because your team is a arch rival of this individual. So you have the honors of introducing our next guest.
Yeah, our next guest, an amazing athlete. I've watched him play for years. on the opposite side of the I-29 rivalry. A lot of fun play, really fun player to watch. I don't know if I've ever met him in person, ironically enough, it's as strange as that may sound, but ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Inside the Walls podcast, I believe number 10 for the Sioux City Bandits, Mr. Brandon Mintz. I probably butchered his last name. I'm sorry, Brandon. If I butchered your last name, I apologize. But welcome to the podcast.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's good to be
here. Have we ever met in person?
I don't believe we have. I talk to everybody, man, but I don't think I've talked to you yet. And maybe it's because you wear orange and black.
Probably. But we'll have to change that here in a couple of weeks when you come out to Omaha. So.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Okay, Matt, you're going to show it. I know you're going. You had it in the back room. Just show it so he sees it, so he has a chance to steal it. Yeah. See, I know you're going to show it. It's the championship belt for player of the week. Will you ever give that to an opposing team, Matt?
No. That's an Omaha beef belt, bro.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
Well, welcome to the show, my man. Swiss Army knife. Apparently, you play all the positions. You play tackle, guard, kicker, cook, all the positions. What makes you? Well, honestly, when I've watched the Sioux City game earlier this year, I'm like, why is there a linebacker kicking? This is not going to be good. And then you kick it all the way to the other end zone. I'm like, well, okay, he could do that. So, it's hard kicking in this game.
Yes.
And you're also a linebacker. And that's very rare. I've seen other linebackers try to kick and the ball never goes 2 yards.
Well, I grew up playing soccer. I have multiple kicking records at my high school. I could have walked on at Iowa State to kick, but I wanted to play ball. And, I love playing football. I love hitting people. So.
Wow, you really don't like Matt if you walked on Iowa State because he's a Hawkeye fan too. Like,
in hindsight, I should have applied to Iowa because they take a lot of in-state kids and really get them going. So
you've played at Sioux City for many years, from the CIF and now into the NAL.
Yep, 5 years.
And I've watched some of your highlights, and I always see you. I'm like, well, this dude is a beast. As the words of Ryan, who was just here, and Pat McAfee Lights kept saying dog, beast, dude. You are that type of individual. Every time I see you in any Sioux City game, you are everywhere on the field. And as a kicker, as a tight end, I saw you running one game last year. I think you were a fullback and you ran like a 14-yard touchdown run. Like they didn't see you do it. What's it about this game that you love so much? Not just the outdoor game, because we're all fans of the outdoor. We play the outdoor. What's about the indoor style game that always brings you back to Sioux City?
It's really the people that I've gotten to meet over the years. They gave me a shot. I'd gone to many tryouts. I tried out for the CFL. I tried out for the AAF when that was a thing. Almost went to an XFL tryout. I participated in the College Gridiron Showcase. And then multiple other tryouts along the way. The Iowa State Pro Day was one of them too. But it's just more about the people for me. Irv Strobing gave me a shot. Marlon Loban gave me a shot. And those guys are, I feel like I've always got them in my corner, and I'll always be there. If they ever need some help with anything, I'm there. It's really just all about the people who are pushing me, helping me through life. We've had a very fun situation since 6 months ago, probably ish, maybe a little bit longer than that. I was talking to you earlier today about it. They've accepted our situation and not asked too much of me off the field, really. But I know that they're the people that I want in my corner. I want to be in their corner too. So.
Well, that's a lot of these organizations. If you I'm here in Jacksonville and I hear stories about players that they get offers from any team, bigger teams, big cities, and they go, "Nah, I'm staying in Jacksonville because I trust that ownership group." And it sounds like you've been there for 5 years. You trust that ownership group for a reason. That's why you keep going back, and that's because of how the operation is done, how they care for their family. That's one thing I love about this industry is that it's not about national spotlight. It's about community. Strong communities. These teams just fall in love with your organization. I have yet to watch a Sioux City game without seeing that arena empty. That arena's always packed.
Yep.
And that's because of what Sioux City is, and especially Omaha. I have to give credit to Omaha. They do the same thing.
Yep.
And that will lead me to this next question. You're on the other side of the I-29 rivalry. I got to deal with the other side here every single week with Matt. You've been in part of this rivalry for 5 years. What is I-29 rivalry as a player with the Sioux City Bandits?
The rivalry is more about the wins and losses. I have zero hate for any players on the opposing team, except for if they're trying to tackle me or if I'm trying to tackle them. But we all play the game because we love it. Some of us have played higher, some of us have played lower, some of us are just, playing because we still love the game and we can still play the game. But from 15 minutes on the clock or whatever it is at the start to when it says 000, I still have, in between those whistles, still have interactions with guys like Chris Perry and not Tommy Armstrong quite yet, because he kicked our butt last year a couple times, but other guys on the field, I'm not gonna put them on the ground and then not help them back up. I'm not like that. So I don't really count it as like a true, like, it's a wins-loss rivalry to me, and it's not a I hate your guts kind of rivalry. So other guys might say differently, but that's just not how I was raised. So.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I have noticed about you specifically. But a lot of the guys that play in this rivalry between Sioux City and Omaha, I mean, we've had guys come back and forth. You guys have a few former Beef players. We've got guys that have played for you guys before, Jeff Mack and that kind of thing. But it's always a respectful rivalry. I mean, obviously in the heat of the battle, things happen. But, at the end of the night, everybody's respectful. So, yeah. What I really wanted to ask you about, Brandon, was the beginning of your guys' season was a little bit unique. You had 3 weeks where you didn't have a game. Mm-hmm. Talk about, as a team, kind of how tough that was, or maybe what that did for you, like mentally and physically as football players.
I feel like a lot of guys got to know each other better throughout that time, because they're just kind of hanging out, going to practice, lifting together, eating, all that kind of stuff. They got to enjoy each other's company and really get to know each other off the field, which in turn helps on the field action, stuff like that. So I think it was really good for us as a group. Obviously there's been some, every week there can be challenges. There were some challenges last Sunday, but it's all about how can we overcome that stuff and how can we get through it together versus like, oh, it's your fault, and pointing fingers and all this other stuff. It's just more about, like we said earlier, community and coming together versus being torn apart by a little thing. So,
any memorable moments in the I-29 on your side?
I don't know, scoring a lot of touchdowns against them. I like doing that. I had the first Uno. Oh man, and I wasn't even trying to make it. 3 years ago, I think, is when they introduced it.
I remember that.
That was that wasn't supposed to go through. That was supposed to just be a regular kick, and it failed. I don't know what happened. So it was that was one memorable thing. I just remember watching it go through, and I'm just like, what? What just happened? So
I remember that as a fan watching that, and I, like Jim talked about before, like, you're a linebacker, so of course as a fan we're like, oh, this is a linebacker kicking, and then it went through, and I was like, okay, all right, cool. So love it. You guys have had to deal with a little bit of adversity this season, not necessarily just losing, but you guys had somebody that was really special, a really big part of that organization. Jared DeGeorgia, longtime player and coach for the Bandits, passed away recently, unexpectedly, and all that. Kind of talk about, number one, Coach, JD, and what he meant to you guys as an organization, and number two, how maybe that has brought you guys even closer as a team.
JD and I, we were kind of bumpy back and forth, but we always had fun talking to each other. And I think everybody has people like that in their life, but we never had any hate for each other. He and I, we had some good times on the bus. We sat up front. I loved his stories. I loved all the things that he's talked about. And he was always happy, no matter what. Obviously, we all hate losing. He had a very, very quick flush mentality, like, all right, we're on to the next one. Let's move. and then we'd start talking about all these other things. He always brought his son Ty around. Everybody loves Ty. I love Ty so much. My heart breaks for that kid, just because of how young he is, and his older siblings. Obviously, I care for them too. But just Ty was around all the time, and it's just hard for us to. We haven't really seen him around recently, so we want him to know that he's with, like, in our thoughts and prayers and everything. So, but it was very, very difficult news to hear. And I don't know if that was part of, like, the emotional part of losing to Carolina, or if there was anything that carried over into that game or not. But I just know that something like that always brings people together, especially, teammates who turn into family members because of something like that too. Yeah, he was just a big part of everything that we did. And, getting that message really, really sucked. It was not a fun time.
We have moments. I know here in Jacksonville, one of our owners passed away last year. That really, struck everyone here in Jacksonville last year. And over there, Omaha, was it 2 years ago or last year? You guys had a rump roaster, right?
Yeah, a couple years ago, Moose. Yeah.
Yes, Moose. So that's one thing that this game is. It's a football game. Like, who cares? It's like there's other things that are bigger than just the game itself. But you realize that the people who touch you in many ways, if it's mentally, as a friendship, as a partner, whatever, and they're associated with the game, it always hurts more when you know a person and you go, that is going to be big. And because these individuals have so much big an influence of their community or their team, it affects not just the players, not just the current family members. It affects the whole organization in some way and form. It's life. And when these individuals leave us, you always got to remember, like, they're here for a reason. They were put here by God for a reason, and they were there to touch your life. And you have to just, remember them and bless their name and keep living in their image. I always say that because we all go through it somehow, some way. You just don't forget. You got to move forward, and that's one thing I love about football. It brings everyone together, no matter what, and no matter who's associated with it. We all are one as a team.
Yep.
But to segue, I know it's hard to segue from something like that. Your next game is the I-29 rivalry. Back-to-back matchups.
Crazy.
I looked at your schedule. Game, off, game, off now. Omaha back-to-back.
Yeah.
As a player, how does that affect you? Trying to, you get ready for a game, then, oh, wait, we're off a week. We're off. You can't get no momentum. And now you got basically the biggest matchup between the two teams, you and Omaha, the I-29 rivalry, the longest running rivalry in the sport. You come off a bye week. Omaha has a game this week against, I think, Oklahoma. Am I correct?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Oklahoma. My bad.
So they get, they don't get a break because they go on. You win you have 7 games in a row, right?
We have 6 straight weeks of football.
6.
Yep.
So Sioux City's about to go through their little end of the season where they don't have a bye weeks, but now they got back to back with Omaha. As a player with all the bye weeks, you get ready, then you guys shut down. Then you get ready, you got to shut down. Now you got Omaha. Well, you've been doing this off week, football wise. So we discussed earlier in the show other behind the scenes stuff. But as a player, how are you going to get mentally prepared for the I-29 rivalry for the next 2 weeks up ahead?
I watch a lot of film. I'm a teacher, so I have some breaks during the day, not a lot, but it's almost always running. So when I'm not dealing with kids, I teach PE, so I get them going, go start. I watch film a little bit, go back, see if everything's okay. So I watch film. I try to. It's kind of hard to break down what Omaha does because they do it so well, and you can't guess what they're doing because they're just going to throw it behind you or run the opposite direction or whatever. So you really have to be super disciplined as far as that goes. I have a weight room right over here in my basement. I haven't been able to use it very much this year, but I'm also the strength and conditioning coordinator, so I do get to lift at the school too. So just trying to make sure that my body is still ready to go each week. and that I don't actually just shut it down for 4 or 5 days. But to where I'm staying active and I'm moving my body.
That's good. Because I know the next 2 weeks is not going to be easy because you're going to have to deal with one of the top tier quarterbacks in all of indoor football, and that's Tommy Armstrong. The guy is an agent wonder and still finds a way to look like he's unstoppable. We saw a couple games last year where he looked like he's like, oh no, this may be the game that the streak ends, and you look at the scoreboard 10 minutes later and they're up by 20 points. You're like, what the heck just happened?
Right.
It's because of Tommy Armstrong.
Mm-hmm.
You've had a game last year against them that was, opposite. You guys went up ahead big. They came back and won at the very end. What was about that game? Like, you could tell that you guys went through a stretch last year that you were struggling. You couldn't get out your own way somehow. But when Omaha played, it's like everything clicked all of a sudden. And you guys were going back and forth, going blow by blow, and you looked like you were about to take out Omaha in their winning streak. And then Omaha came back, and well, we know the story.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's last year's a lot of things, but do you ever go back and look at old film from previous games against Omaha to try and study for this year's version, or you just look at what happened, what they did earlier this week, last week, or this season?
Every game that we've gotten this year, I've been trying to track the number of times that they run certain plays. And some of the film is hard to see what routes the receivers are running, but I really only need to worry about what's happening up front most of the time. It's similar to last year, but it's also different because they have different people in different spots. So it's like sometimes you can get a feel for what they're running, and then other times they throw another wrinkle at you. So like, you might stop one wrinkle, and then 2 plays later, they run the same action, and you're like, I got it, and they're out the back door the other side. So just trying to make sure that they're staying consistent with what they're running and trying to catch a beat on it. But no, I don't really look back to previous years. Sometimes it is fun to go back and watch those games, but I try to stick with what we're seeing out of them this year.
Matt, you got anything for him?
No, I mean, talk a little bit about the atmosphere in the Liberty First Credit Union Arena, as we call it over here in Omaha, the Slaughterhouse, when you guys come to town.
I hate it, honestly. I think it might be a little bit cooler there this year with the orange turf. But just walking in there, there's just something about walking in that place I don't like. I can't even put a finger on it. I can't put a name to it. It's just, maybe it's just the
cowbells.
Nah, I'm used to that. I don't know. I like your fans, but at the same time, I hate your fans because they are. How do I say it politely? I don't think I can say it politely. They're
Henri.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're some of our fans can be a little unruly. I would say the same about Sioux City, some Sioux City fans, but for the most part, it's a friendly rivalry. But yeah, I just always like to ask opposing players who are coming into Omaha how they feel about that environment. Sioux City's, you guys get just as loud, I would say, in your arena. I've been there several times, obviously throughout the years. So yeah, you guys do a great job over there with your game day ops and all that kind of stuff. Talk about your coaching staff, Coach Strobing, Coach Laban, those guys. Talk about kind of, how they've been there for so long, and you've been there for 5 years with some of the other guys that have been there, Drew and the rest of the team. That's the guy, Bruno, those guys. Just talk about the relationship you guys have with Coach Strobing and the rest of the staff there.
It's more like a brotherhood, honestly, after being around for so long, and just them trusting us to continue coming back, to keep asking us to come back. I can pull my phone up and just text Irv about anything that I want, or it doesn't even have to be football related. It could just be a question about life. Like a couple weeks ago, I was asking him if he could look into some schools and see if there's any job openings or anything over there, and just stuff like that. It doesn't even have to be football related, but just as simple as that. It's a brotherhood. It's easy. It's not like it's tough to text them. I can text Lowe about pretty much anything as well. Spetty, I can text him. I have most of their phone numbers, and I think I can call them and talk to them about pretty much everything. It is also very intense too, because if you do mess up, we have group chats and we let each other know. It's a polite way to call each other out and make each other better that way too. Like the other week when I didn't go to Carolina, I texted the chat because Xavier missed a block on kickoff return, and I sent a message that said, "Hey, make that block, and we're going to be out the gate." And he put a thumbs up, and the next kickoff return he made the block, and everything was fine. So
that's great.
That was before halftime, I guess I should say that. We're not on our phones during the game.
Right. No, that's great though. That's great that you guys have that kind of relationship as a team, and you guys can, you can correct each other without any kind of major issues. So yeah, love that.
I know locker room chat rooms. I've seen some of the conversations in some of these teams. I'm like, whoa, yeah, we're going to keep that on the phone there. Like, all right. But one thing I have to have much respect for is because you play multiple positions. Like you've basically, if it was up to you, if you could clone yourself 8 times, someone can actually build a team just by you because you played every single position. I don't think you play quarterback yet, but I think I can't. See, there you go. We got a quarterback there. You can have your own team just by yourself.
I wouldn't want to play quarterback though. That's something different.
So you like to hit people. You don't like getting hit.
Right. I like the ball in my hands too, though. So, I mean, I think everybody does that, though.
Yeah. I mean, do you have a favorite position to play on the field?
I don't know. I just like being on the field.
Yeah. That's fair.
I don't know. If it was up to me, I like receiver, but I know I'm a big guy, so probably more like that running back style.
Yeah.
Tobias Taylor's going to be fun to tackle next week. I hated tackling when he was with Gillette, so that was, yeah.
Well, it's competition. You have a goal. You got another week off to chill. What are you doing this weekend to prepare? Are you just watching film, or are you just going to spend time with your family?
A little bit of both, probably. I have a safety bar that I'm going to deliver over to Fort Dodge. One of my buddies from high school, from the rival high school, bought it from me, so I'm going to go catch up with him for a little bit. Then I'll come back and hang out with the family. Probably watch some football.
That's good.
Get some active film study in, see what's going on.
I rarely ask questions about this, but are you a gamer?
I have a gaming setup, not like a big one, but I do. I have occasionally. I don't really have a whole lot of time nowadays to do it, but I used to.
And if you did, will you purchase the NCAA coming out this year?
Oh yeah.
And who would be your team?
Born and raised an Iowa State fan, but I might pick one of them smaller teams to go. Definitely not the Hawks.
By the way, there are rumors that even the FCS is going to have their teams in the game.
Oh, really?
So you'll have the smaller. You have North Dakota, South Dakota. You'll have all those.
I might pick UNI then.
So Northern Iowa. So
yep.
That's the rumor. I hope it is, and hopefully you can adjust the playoff system so you can make it a legit playoff system like they do in the FCS level, the 24 teams, not this. 5 teams from one conference can get in here in the D1.
Right.
But I usually ask a lot of, like, some of the guys who I interview for the Jacksonville Sharks, like, are you going to buy? And they're, yeah. So it's, some positive energy. I think I'll be cheating though. That's unless my team all opts out before the bowl game, and that's Florida State. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the game. If listeners who are watching this show, if you're fans, are you going to buy the game and who you're going to play with? Let's see if we'll get that comment roll here thread. Well, Brandon, where can the fans follow you on social media?
I got everything, I guess.
Okay. And you got any shout outs for this episode for your friends, family, player, coaches, whatever?
If anybody's out here watching, just, be the best version of yourself every single day. And when your coach asks if you can play multiple positions, do it and learn them, because it makes you more valuable for your team, and it helps your school win or your team win. So it helps you win in life too. So.
Well, enjoy your off week. Spend time with your family. I'll be definitely watching next weekend on the I-29 rivalry when Do me a favor. Shut up, Matt, for one game. Okay.
No.
Matt's a pretty loud dude. I've heard of him. Heard of him.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate
Well,
that.
he also does his own podcast called the Prom Cuts on Beef, so he's active. But
Yeah.
thank you for coming on the show. We'll close out the show here pretty soon, but I really appreciate you joining. I know it was short notice. We're trying to get you on, I think, last week. Scheduled conflicts. I think you had practice, I think, is the reason why you couldn't get on last time. But I want to say thank you for coming on this edition of Inside the Walls.
Yep. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Brandon, look forward to seeing you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a good episode, but we do actually have some other news that we need to talk about. We have some games this weekend in the National Arean League. And, of course, we have to start off in Omaha, where your Omaha Beef are hosting a familiar foe. I think this is the second time you faced him, am I correct?
I don't believe so.
No, you didn't play. You didn't play. This is your first time playing him. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So you're playing the Oklahoma Flying Aces in Omaha. That game will be at 7:05?
6:30. Yep.
6:30. Okay.
6:30 on Saturday night. Yep.
Saturday night. It is May 4th. Star Wars. Is it Star Wars themes going on in the Slaughterhouse this weekend?
Not that I'm aware of. I know our next theme night is going to actually be against Sioux City, but they're going to be announcing that soon. So I don't want to steal any thunder from the team, but you know, I mean, people will be talking about it. I know at one point there was talk of having stormtroopers at the game, so we'll see if that happens or not. But yeah, should be a fun game.
And the next game that's on the docket this weekend is on Sunday, and it's at 5 o'clock Mountain, therefore at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. The Colorado Spartans travel to the Idaho Horsemen to take on the Horsemen. We just had Ryan on. He mentioned what the team needs to do to get the wins. And we're getting to the stretch here of I think, a pretty hectic season. And I want to say thank you for Ryan and thank you for Brandon for joining us on today's episode. And again, to Matt, joined us late. He usually is on time, but he had some family things to take care of. And I just wanted, again, if you joined the episode earlier today, and my open mind log, it's a chaotic situation that we have right now in our industry, especially from content creators. Stay focused. Stay on your goal. Keep pushing forward. Always check for secondary sources and third sources before you make any type of judgment. Because breaking news might be a good thing that you're the first one, but it can also be the most damaging thing to your credibility and the most damaging thing to your brand. And in this industry, you're doing this for love. You're doing this for a passion of the sport. Always watch your six. Always get your information correct from multiple sources, just not one individual. You will last longer in the field, and it actually will help betterment the whole entire industry to the right direction for the future. Matt?
Yeah, I think Brandon said it best. Be your best self every single day. Put your best foot forward. Just love others, man. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the sport. Indoor football, arena football is an amazing sport. It's an amazing way to spend time. It's an amazing group of people that love this sport. And I just can't say enough to just love the sport. There's a lot of tribalism in professional wrestling, and there's a lot of tribalism in indoor football. I've never understood that, but just love the game, love the athletes, love the coaching staff, the fan bases, and guys, just do the best to be the best person you can be. Brandon said it best.
Be the best person you can be. Remember, the people who are associated with the league, no matter if it's a friend, family, player, owner, coaches, whatever, always remember that anybody who reaches out to you and talks to you, they're there for a good reason. You're here for a good reason. You're here for the passion and the love of the sport. I know me and Matt get bashed on social media by other networks about being arrogant, cocky, and we're too busy carrying a brand. But we're in it for one reason. We're in it for the players. That's why we had two players on today's episode. to project what these individuals do. One is kind of retired, and he's been commenting on our thing that he's not going to be at the next game there. So Ryan, that's disappointing. You need to call out sick, my friend. But again, players, they do this for the love of the game. We got to do it for the love of the game as well. And the most accurate information that spreads benefits everyone. The most dishonest and false information can destroy just not individuals and players, but organizations, because false narratives can destroy an image of a league or the industry itself. It took 5 years to repair this industry. And sometimes if someone goes off on the whim, it can cause even a worse cataclysm of the sport. I am Jim Renier. That's Matt Patton. It's episode 143 of Inside the Walls podcast. We will be back next Thursday night, 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern, with some more. We might have to get the coaches or the ownership groups involved next week for the I-29 rivalry. We might have to give Ricky a call for some Omaha, see if that can be done for next week's matchup of the longest reigning rivalry in the sport, Sioux City and Omaha, the I-29 rivalry. That's Matt. I'm Jim. Episode 143. We out.